strong female leads or male-written feminism? So are women in Nigerian films really empowered or just angry versions written by men?
I think it depends. For one, it depends on the particular writers. I would say for the most part, you have women who know how to write women.
Okay.
You have men who know how to write women. And then you have men that don't know how to write women.
Are there women who don't know how to write women as well?
Yes, there are. I think that's typically where you find the line between the aggressive women and, the women that are actually feminists.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Oh, I see. We learn every day. So, okay, this is the first question, yeah? When we call a female character strong, what do we actually mean? Do we mean someone that's emotionally strong, morally strong, or just aggressive?
Definitely not aggressive.
Okay.
Yes, definitely not aggressive. I do think that there are different definitions of what feminism should be. But of course, I'm a huge fan of the classical definition, the traditional meaning of feminism.
Okay, so before we get into that, before we dive into feminism 101, let's keep in mind that we are trying to put it in the movies here. So in the movies you've seen, Nigerian films specifically, when they say female character, the character now is the character in the movie is strong. What do we expect? What is most likely seen? Is it someone that is emotionally strong who can hold her own emotionally, or aggressive? There are movies like that, or someone that is morally strong.
I think when it comes to movies, the movies that do it right tend to portray women as emotionally strong. But emotional strength doesn't necessarily mean that they're stoic or that they don't feel anything. It just means that they go through trials and tribulations. They face a lot of challenges typically. If you've seen any of the old movies portraying strong women, I know as an example, there's this movie that was produced by Genevieve.
Okay.
I watched this movie, very interesting. I watched this movie when I was in primary school. It's a very old movie, yes. So it talked about trauma, it talked about rape, it talked about a lot of societal issues that affect women.
Okay.
And so the main character, Ije, the main character was a very, very strong woman. But she wasn't strong because none of the things she experienced affected her. She was strong because she was able to overcome all of the traumatic incidents that she had. She was able to still forge ahead despite being in a lot of very, very crazy situations, very traumatizing situations.
Overcoming her wouldn't be the same thing as enduring, like the endurance. Is it that she just stayed through them and then did not give up, did not let go, didn't kill herself, or she made out something from despite all that she went through?
She did make out something, but I don't think it's necessarily to do with if they came out victorious in the end. Sometimes, sometimes where we see the greatest fights are in the process, and sometimes the greatest warriors don't survive the war. But that doesn't mean they're any less great. So I do believe that the best stories of feminism, the best movies that talk about feminism, often talk about the trials, and it is in those trials that you tend to see the resilience of these women.
So endurance can serve as
yes.
Okay. So survival here is even winning.
Yes.
Interesting. So is Nollywood truly telling women's stories or just telling stories about women?
Yes, some movies just tell stories about women.
Okay.
And some tell women's stories.
Can you do me this favor? Your opinion, tell me, if we say we're looking at a woman's story, what should we expect? What should be, like you have a traditional definition of feminism, what should be the traditional expectation of a woman's story? Like what should be the expectation? When you say this is a woman's story, what should we be expecting to see?
Of course, as a man, I wouldn't have any direct experience of what it means to be a woman, but I can definitely tell you, I would say from observation, from years of study and interacting with this stuff, and of course having women around me, hearing their opinions on some of these movies. I would say for a woman's story, typically you need to capture her becoming.
Okay.
You need to capture the forming of a woman. from her youth, from the moment she was born, her experiences into adolescence, her experiences into teenage, and then the transition from teenage into adulthood, and then real adulthood. So there are a lot of experiences that come with that. And if you're able to capture all of that in a way that speaks to the female audience, I think you've done a good job in portraying
Oh,
a
you
woman's
said
story.
something now. You said in a way that speaks to the female audience. So
Yes.
when we're talking about a woman's story, are we looking to appeal to the female audience specifically?
Not necessarily, because of course a movie can entail different themes that can also apply to men. I always say this: we may not have the same experience, but we do have shared experiences as humans. And so, in as much as you may be a man or a woman, there are certain experiences that we all have
Similarly,
that are similar.
yes.
But we are not the same regardless. And so there are some experiences that women have that is like, I would say, viscerally, aggressively theirs. It doesn't belong to the male gender. It's their experience because they are women. And so I feel like that is where we have to draw the line, right?
Yes.
A woman's experience, while being relatable to a man, is still a woman's experience. And so that's why I believe majority of it should really strike a resonance with the female audience.
Okay, so this brings us to the other part. So if this is basically what a woman's story should be, how becoming, then the movies where you say we tell stories about women, what do we get? What are these things that are now stories about women that differs from a woman's story?
Yeah, sometimes you can just have a story, just a generic story about a woman just doing stuff in a movie. You can have a story about a woman taking another man's husband. You can have a story about a woman just being a baddie. You can have different stories about a woman. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with womanhood. It's just, you're watching a woman on screen just doing stuff.
If the lead character is a woman, the story could still be about the woman and not a woman's story.
Yes. You could just have a story about a woman. The lead character is a woman, and then you just maybe showing her daily life, like what she just does.
So we could say that in stories about women,
Yes.
a man could even take that role and much wouldn't change.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
While on the other hand, a woman's story, you cannot replace that role with a man.
You
It
can't.
wouldn't fit.
Yes. If you're
okay.
trying to, because the idea with a woman's story is that you're trying to create a picture where if a woman is watching this, she can put herself into the shoes of the person she's watching.
It's relatable to women.
To be able to relate with the experience. Yes.
Does it change how a female character is written when the story is led by a woman director? For example, Genevieve versus when it's led by a man. In fact, let's take out the name, okay? Regardless, Genevieve or not. Does it change? Like when a woman directs a movie of a female character, a lead female character, and when a man directs it, are there any distinctive, notable features that, a man did this, a woman did this?
I would say it's just a matter of understanding. If a man understands what he should do with a female lead, then yes, he can get the job done.
And you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
On a regular scale, are there things that men direct in movies led by female characters that you'd be like, okay, this might be, this could be a man and not a woman directing this movie?
Yeah, sometimes there are like little tales. So of course, you know that in human psychology, there's something we call the female gaze and there's something we call the male gaze. So a lot of times when you see
okay.
So a lot of times when you see in movies a woman acting in a certain way that appeals to men, it means that female is written in a way to appeal to the male gaze.
Okay.
And the only reason why a woman would be written to appeal to the male gaze in a story that is supposed to be a woman's story is if it's written by a man.
Do you have an example? Can you think of one? Like
there are tons of examples, but it's kind of hard to tell them apart. But they are there. You just have to look.
If you cannot think of one now, we could go on with the question in bed. Over time, if anyone clicks, you just be like, I have an example now. All right. So because I really want to know what are those things that appeal to the male gaze that are slightly just put in here and there in a woman's movie, and you'd be like, so do you think some Nollywood films confuse strength with hostility when it comes to writing female leads?
Yes, definitely.
You've seen King of Boys, yes?
Yes, I did a very long time ago. It's been so long.
So because the woman there, like the leader of the entire thing, she's seen as strong. And until I started working on this topic, did I realize, would it be that we mistake strength for hostility? Because women are not usually hostile. I don't know if I should say they're not given the opportunity or they're not strong enough to do that.
Yes.
So when they exhibit this level of hostility or aggressiveness, we now attribute it to strength. Is that wrong? Or do you think we even do that at all?
Yes, we do that, and it's actually very wrong. And I would even say this for the males too as well, because there was this trend back then in Nollywood movies where I think with was it Yemi Black?
Okay.
And there's this other guy. They typically play all these armed robber roles. So anytime you see them playing an armed robber role, you see them playing a thief role, playing a villain role. They're always like very like, hey, come here, you, come here. They're always very aggressive and hostile with it. And of course, it took me growing up and watching Hollywood movies to realize that being evil isn't necessarily in the aggression or in the hostility.
Okay.
It's in the aura and in the evil actions you do, right? So, of course, we get this wrong in the sense that we're trying to portray a villain, so we make the character almost cartoonishly aggressive, unnecessarily aggressive.
It's just dramatic.
Yes,
the way they exhibit,
yes, you understand. Just so everybody can look at this character and say, okay, oh, he's evil. Oh, we get it. He's a villain. So you find that this template gets copy pasted into female characters. So whenever you have a female character that they want her to play an armed robber, a kidnapper, part of a bad gang, you see her displaying the same level of hostility, doing the same razzie or acting raz, doing all that.
Okay. Let me paint you this picture, yes?
Yeah.
For instance, if you want to be like a kingpin or a street guru, cartel, depending on where, as a guy, to command respect, perhaps you don't need to show that hostility in movies. You see them like calm, collected. They might not even show the face a couple times. Just relaxed, and then he just says a couple words, and that's it. But for women, like King of Boys again, a woman naturally is not seen as someone that can command such power. So perhaps they need to do extra to convince whoever the victim or the hostage is that they actually are, capable of harming them.
Then have her do something brutal and gruesome to put the point across.
Yeah, wouldn't that be painting a picture that if a woman becomes evil, that she takes it up a notch? That she takes
not necessarily. There's a point to it. So typically, acting aggressive could mean her shouting, being all loud, being commanding, ordering people around.
Sure.
If you want to convey someone that's evil, you simply have them doing despicable acts. There are so many examples of this, of course, from, I would say, Hollywood movies. But since we're here to talk about Nollywood, I will mainly just use Hollywood as just, short, light examples.
Okay.
So you look at movies like Game of Thrones, you look at, different action movies, and you find that villains typically don't shout. In fact, movies that you see villains shouting a lot tend to be comedy movies, where the villain is doing too much for comedic effect. Yeah, okay. We're meant to laugh at him because he's being like over the top.
Being extra, yeah.
But you find that type of like behavior is the standard villainy in Nollywood movies. Meanwhile, in Hollywood movies, villains just do villain work. They just kill people. They blow up stuff, They crash the economy. They align with Islamic terrorists and bomb their country.
Wow.
You understand? You're looking at a female villain, and she's talking to a child. You're thinking that she and this child are forming a bond, and then before the scene is over, she strangles the child to death.
Yes, now the neck of the child. Yeah.
So you find that there's this scene from a movie I watched a long time ago that stuck with me. It was a female villain. So basically, this woman was the head of the cartel in the entire Mexico. She was running basically Mexico City, and she was a woman. So this woman had virtually over 1,000 bodies to her name, people she had killed, both directly, indirectly. In fact, indirectly would be over 50,000 because she had control over the whole of Mexico City. So if she wanted you gone, you were gone. And so but you see her on screen, and she doesn't look like that type of person. She's very quiet, walks very daintily, very gentle. In fact, she helps this homeless boy off the street, and you think she's this motherly figure. Calm. And so it's like a misdirect. And then, eventually at the end of the scene, it's just that the more you hear her talking, the more you hear the things she says, the more you realize that oh, you're evil.
Sinister.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
sinister.
Yeah.
Like, so the proof of evil is not in the over the top shouting and hey, pulling out your gun. It's
So
in the
what if it's not being evil they want to prove? It's on the proof of power. Okay, so we're not trying. We're trying to show that this woman is powerful, and
yes.
let's back to Nigeria now. To command a level of respect here, to strike fair reverence in the hearts of people, you have to come with this loud,
You don't have to be loud to command respect. That's
in Nigeria. I was very specific.
So, but yeah, we were talking about how this is a mistake on the part of Nollywood, right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's one of those misconceptions that people think that if you're loud, you command power. If you're aggressive, you command power. In fact, I would.
You can scratch loud, but the aggression part, do we need to scratch that too? Especially if Nollywood movies are trying to portray how things are being run here.
Yes, aggression, because I would say not empty aggression though. Like I said, have her do something gruesome.
Okay.
You understand? Like you could have a female villain, right? Maybe she comes in to rob a household, and she's the head of. Let's use like kidnappers, for example, right? A group of kidnappers. The woman is like the head of the kidnappers, and then they break into a house. They want to, rob the house or kidnap someone, right? You can have her maybe give an instruction, maybe tell the girl not to run to her dad. Maybe the girl is trying to run to the dad scared, and then she says, don't do that, go back. And then the girl doesn't listen to her. You can have her shoot the girl in the head.
That's the aggressiveness we're talking about. That's pure aggression.
Yes, that works.
No. But I thought you said that's wrong.
No. What is wrong, I believe, is aggression for aggression's sake. Like just bland aggression. Just aggression for the sake of trying to show that she runs shit.
Yeah, but I was trying to ask that.
Yes.
Is he well, because what you just explained now is that we're showing that she is actually practically aggressive. So
the thing there is, the trick is to show that she's dangerous. So she could be very cold-blooded about it. She doesn't even need to be very like physically
so is
riled up
that
about
woman
it.
now in that movie, the woman that shoots, hypothetically of course, because we don't have a movie like that, that shoots the girl.
Yes.
Is she empowered? Is she a strong woman? Of course, although we are looking at something bad.
Yes.
In her field, from a feminist.
see, that's where it gets really twisted, right?
Yeah.
That's where it gets really twisted, because when you talk about power, it gets tricky, because some people will tell you that power pays no respect to morality. Power pays no respect to good or evil. Power is just power. So, of course, within that context, we can say, yes, she's very much empowered, because she's running stuff.
If that one is...
If you understand, if we're talking in terms of strict power.
Let's use another scenario so that our audience will understand that we're not just trying to say that women are... He's a feminist. He will not say women are bad, of course. Of course. He will not say that. You wouldn't say that with you.
Never.
Okay. So let's use a scenario where it's an office, okay? And then she is the boss. Yes, and you see her doing stuff like when they try to portray like in romantic movies, Nollywood romantic movies, you see a woman like doing something like being very aggressive with her staff. No, fires this one, and whenever anybody here she's coming to work, they all run back inside, and then when she eventually falls in love, she now grows soft, and then because she's in love, and it looks as though because she's deprived of love on a man, hence she's aggressive. But that aside, the thing is, when she exhibits such power and command like that, is she empowered? Is she doing business as business should be? Is that power not having any moral standards or not respecting morals? Is she empowered, or we're just misinterpreting everything?
No, she's not empowered. But some people would argue to their last breath that she is.
So why do you think she's not empowered?
Because it's very simple, right? The true nature of being empowered, I would say, in the context of feminism, right? The true concept of empowerment for women is the ability to make choices for themselves. And I don't think that there's any woman who has truly experienced the difficulties of being a woman that would treat other people the way she was treated. The whole point of feminism is to not allow people to get treated the way you were treated. Or even if you didn't experience that treatment, I would say...
I was going to ask you, what experience did you experience? What experience did you or treatment did you undergo that you're trying to prevent for other people?
Is it me personally?
Yeah, because when you said the main point of
I would say,
feminism,
of course, but of course, feminism is I would say a female movement,
yes,
right?
that's
So feminism is for women.
Yes,
You understand?
yes.
So I'm trying to talk about this from the perspective of the example
women.
you gave, the woman boss you gave.
So you don't lose your line of thought.
Yes. So the woman boss now, if she was truly empowered, she would not need to act that way. In fact, most people who act that way because they are not yet empowered. They are still in their trauma. And the whole point of feminism is to take you out of your trauma and tell you that this may have happened to you. This may have rendered you powerless. This may have rendered you unable to make choices for yourself, unable to have a say even in your own life. But now you don't have that limitation anymore. And so someone who has gone through that and has come out empowered, so to say, would not need to display aggression to show that she's empowered.
Okay.